She dropped a calabash. Palm wine splashed into the red dust, and the drum stopped mid-beat. Gasps scattered across the savannah like startled birds. "I will not marry this man," Amina said. Her voice did not shake. Only her hands did. Chief Dagara's fingers were still stretched toward her when the liquid touched his feet. For a moment, no one moved. The sun hung low behind the acacia trees, and the entire village watched the bride who had just broken tradition. Amina's father, Baba Kanda, stumbled forward. "Amina, what are you doing?" She did not look at him. She kept her eyes on the chief. "You are not marrying me for honor. You are marrying me for revenge." Murmurs spread. The elders exchanged glances. Somewhere in the crowd, a woman whispered, "She has lost her mind." The chief lowered his hand slowly. His voice was calm, but his jaw tightened. "Be careful, child. Words spoken before witnesses cannot be swallowed." Amina swallowed anyway. Her throat burned, but her heart felt strangely steady. Just hours before, she had sat inside her father's hut, staring at her reflection in a metal bowl of water. Her friends had surrounded her, tying beads around her wrist, singing the soft wedding songs every bride before her had heard. "Why are you so quiet?" her cousin Zulai had asked. "What is there to say?" Amina had replied. Zulai leaned close. "You could still run." Amina had forced a small smile. "And leave my father to be crushed by death?" "No." Outside, Baba Kanda had been kneeling before Chief Dagara. "Great Chief," he had pleaded, his palms pressed together. "She is my only child." "And you are a man who borrowed cattle and failed to repay them," the chief had answered evenly. "The drought was not my doing. I will find a way." "You have had 2 seasons to find a way." Silence had filled the air between them. Finally, the chief had said, "Let the girl become my wife. Your debt will disappear like smoke." Baba Kanda's shoulders had collapsed inward. "She is young. I will care for her." The old man had known there was no arguing. Without the chief's protection, he would lose his land. Without land, they would lose everything. When Baba Kanda entered the hut afterward, Amina had looked up at him. "Is it true?" she had asked quietly. He could not meet her eyes. "My daughter. Is it true?" "Yes." She had stared at him for a long moment. "Did you ask me?" His silence had been the answer. Now, standing before the entire village, she finally looked at her father. "You told me this marriage would save us," she said softly. "But you did not tell me why he truly wants me." The chief's voice cut through. "Enough." Amina turned back to him. "Tell them." The crowd leaned closer. "You courted my mother," she continued, "before she married my father. She refused you." A ripple moved through the elders. Baba Kanda's face drained of color. The chief's eyes darkened. "That is a story from long ago. And you never forgave her," Amina said. "So you chose her daughter instead." The chief took a step forward. "Careful." Her heart pounded, but she did not step back. "This is not about cattle. It is about pride." If you are already feeling the tension in this moment, pause for a second and imagine being in that circle of villagers, watching a young woman challenge the most powerful man in her world. And if stories like this move you, remember to like this video so more people can find it. The chief's voice lowered. "Your father agreed." "My father was desperate," she replied. "Desperation is not consent." A stunned silence followed. No one in the village had ever heard such words from a bride. From the back of the crowd, Kofi stepped forward. He had been standing there the entire time, his fist clenched at his sides. "She speaks the truth," he said. Several men turned sharply. "Kofi, stay out of this," one elder warned. But Kofi shook his head. Everyone knows the chief once sought her mother's hand. That was years ago, the chief snapped. And today you seek the daughters, Kofi answered. Amina felt her breath catch. She had not expected him to speak. Earlier that week, they had met by the edge of the tall grass. Run with me, Kofi had whispered. We can leave before sunrise. And go where? She had asked. Anywhere but here. She had touched his hand gently. If I leave, my father will lose everything. And if you stay, you will lose yourself. She had looked away then, tears threatening to fall. I cannot choose myself over him. Now, standing in her bridal beads, she realized she had been wrong. Choosing herself did not mean abandoning her father. It meant refusing injustice. An elder cleared his throat. Chief Dagora, is there truth in what the girl says? The chief lifted his chin. I have nothing to explain. Then explain nothing, Amina said, her voice softer now. But do not call this honor. Baba Kanda suddenly fell to his knees in the dust. Forgive her, great chief. She is young. She does not understand. Amina's chest tightened. She rushed to her father's side. Stand up. He shook his head. You have shamed us. No, she whispered, tears finally gathering. I am trying to save us. The chief looked at the kneeling man, then at the murmuring crowd. His authority was slipping like sand through his fingers. If the girl refuses, one elder said slowly, then forcing her will bring no blessing. The women began to murmur in agreement. Amina felt her tears spill over at last. They traced lines down her cheeks, not of obedience, but of release. You see, her mother's old friend called from the crowd. Now she cries. The chief exhaled sharply. Very well, he said at last. If she does not wish to be my wife, I will not drag her. A collective breath escaped the villagers. But the debt remains. Kofi stepped forward again. Then I will help pay it. Baba Kanda looked up in shock. You cannot. I can, Kofi said firmly. I will work the chief's fields. I will hunt. I will trade. Amina stared at him. Why? He met her eyes. Because no one should be sold for cattle. The simplicity of his words broke something inside her. She began to sob openly, and this time she did not try to hide it. The chief studied the crowd. He saw doubt in their faces. He saw judgment. And he understood that if he pushed further, he would lose more than a bride. We will discuss the debt another day, he said stiffly. This ceremony is ended. He turned and walked away. The drums did not resume. Amina helped her father to his feet. He looked at her with confusion, fear, and something else, something like pride. You defied him, he said. She nodded, wiping her cheeks. I could not live in a house built on revenge. He sighed deeply. I thought I was protecting you. I know, she whispered. But I am not a shield to be traded. Around them, villagers began to disperse, whispering about what they had witnessed. If you have ever felt pressured to accept something that did not sit right in your spirit, let her courage remind you that your voice matters. And if this story is touching you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to stand up to power? As the sun dipped lower, Amina removed one of the heavy necklaces from her neck. The beads clattered softly as they fell into her palm. I was ready to surrender, she admitted quietly to Kofi. But you didn't, he said. She looked out at the white savanna, the land that had witnessed her humiliation and her courage. I thought tears meant weakness, she said. But today, they feel like freedom. Kofi smiled gently. Then let them fall. And they did. The village did not sleep easily that night. Inside Baba Kanda's hut, silence pressed against the walls. The wedding songs that had filled the air in the morning had vanished, replaced by whispers drifting from neighboring homes. Baba Kanda sat on a wooden stool, elbows on his knees. Amina sat across from him, her bridal beads now resting in a small clay bowl between them. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Finally, he said, "When your mother refused the chief, I admired her courage. But I also feared it." Amina looked up. "You never told me that." She told him no in front of witnesses, he continued quietly. He smiled that day. "But I saw the wound in his pride." "And you still believe this marriage was about cattle?" Amina asked gently. He shook his head slowly. "I wanted to believe it. It was easier than admitting I was giving my daughter to a man who wanted to win a battle from the past." Tears filled his eyes now. "I failed you." Amina moved closer and knelt before him. "No, Baba. Poverty failed us. Drought failed us. But you did not fail me." He touched her head, his fingers trembling. "I was afraid of losing the land. And I was afraid of losing myself," she replied. Outside, footsteps approached. A soft knock followed. Kofi's voice came through the thin wooden door. "May I enter?" Baba Kanda hesitated, then nodded. "Come in." Kofi stepped inside, carrying a small bundle. He bowed respectfully. "Baba, you were brave today," the old man said quietly. Kofi swallowed. "I only spoke what everyone knows." He placed the bundle on the floor and opened it. Inside were dried meat, smoked fish, and a small pouch of coins. "It is not much," Kofi admitted. "But it is a start." Baba Kanda stared at the offering. "You do not owe us this." "I know," Kofi said. "But I owe her honesty." Amina felt her chest tighten. "You should not have to fix this." "I am not fixing it alone," he replied. "The elders are already talking." As if summoned by his words, voices gathered outside again. This time, they were not whispers of scandal but murmurs of decision. An elder's voice rose above the rest. "Baba Kanda, come out." The three exchanged glances before stepping outside into the cool night air. A small circle of villagers had formed. The chief was not among them. Elder Musa stepped forward. "We have spoken," he began. "The marriage is ended. That is clear." Amina felt a small wave of relief. "But the death remains a wound in this village," he continued. "And a wound shared by one household can become a sickness for all." A woman from the crowd lifted a basket. "I have brought grain." Another man raised his hand. "I will contribute 2 goats." One by one, voices joined. "I will give labor. I will give seeds. I will give time." Amina covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Elder Musa looked at Baba Kanda. "You have given your life to this village. We will not let you lose everything." Baba Kanda's voice cracked. "I do not deserve this." "It is not about deserving," the elder replied. "It is about justice." Amina stepped forward. "Why now?" The elder looked at her kindly. "Because today you reminded us that tradition without fairness becomes oppression." A deep silence followed, heavy but healing. If this moment moves you, take a second right now to like this video. Stories of courage deserve to travel far. And if you have ever witnessed a community come together in a time of crisis, share it in the comments below. The following days felt different. Where there had once been tension, there was now cooperation. Young men walked alongside Baba Kanda in the fields. Women visited with baskets of food. Even those who had shaken their heads at Amina now greeted her with quiet respect. Still, not everyone was pleased. On the 3rd evening after the broken wedding, a messenger from the chief arrived. "The great chief wishes to speak with Amina," he announced. A ripple of anxiety passed through the household. Baba Kanda stiffened. "She will not go alone." "I will go," Amina said calmly. Kofi stepped forward. I am coming too. The chief received them in his courtyard. His posture was upright, but the pride in his eyes had softened. You have caused much noise, he said evenly. Amina met his gaze. Truth is rarely silent. He studied her for a long moment. You speak like your mother. I am proud of that. A faint smile touched his lips before disappearing. You embarrassed me. I defended myself. He nodded slowly. The elders have informed me of their decision. Your father's debt will be reduced. Reduced? Kofi asked. Significantly, the chief corrected. The rest will be repaid through community labor. Not marriage. Amina exhaled. The chief leaned back. Do you hate me? She hesitated. No. But I feared you. He absorbed her words quietly. Power makes fear easy, he admitted. I forgot that respect cannot be forced. For the first time, his voice sounded less like a ruler and more like a man. I once loved your mother, he continued. When she refused me, I felt small. I told myself I would never feel that way again. And so you tried to make me small instead, Amina said softly. He did not deny it. Silence stretched between them, not hostile but reflective. You are stronger than I expected, he said at last. I am simply unwilling to be traded, she replied. He gave a short nod. Go. Live as you choose. But remember this, courage will test you again. It always does, she said. As they left the courtyard, Kofi let out a breath he had been holding. I thought he would punish us. So did I, Bobakanda admitted. But Amina felt something else, a strange sense of closure. Days later, under the same acacia tree where her wedding had nearly bound her life to someone else's regret, she stood with Kofi. There were no drums this time. No heavy beats. No crowd demanding tears. Only a few close villagers, her father, and the quiet wind moving through the grass. Kofi held her hands. No debts. No bargains. Just choice. Just choice, she echoed. Bobakanda cleared his throat. My daughter, he said gently, today you do not live because you are forced. You live because you decide. Amina felt tears rise again, but this felt different from the ones that had fallen into the dust days before. I used to think tears were weakness, she said softly. But sometimes they are proof that the heart is alive. She looked at the horizon,
will not marry
the
this
endless
man.
stretch of savannah glowing beneath the morning sun. Her voice carried clearly. I am not the chief's bride. I am not a debt to be paid. I am Amina. The wind seemed to carry her words across the land. If this story has stayed with you until this moment, then you understand that courage does not always shout, it sometimes simply refuses. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more powerful stories like this one. Leave a comment telling us what part touched you the most, and don't forget to like and share so others can experience it too. As the sun climbed higher, Amina stepped forward into her new life, not as property, not as repayment, but as a woman who had cried in the dust and found her strength there. And in the quiet rhythm of the savannah, her tears no longer felt like sorrow. They felt like freedom.